Welcome to the Wellness Witches Whimsy Podcast, your go-to sanctuary where magic meets mindfulness and holistic health gets real.
Join us, your hosts, Shade and Vanessa, as we dive deep into the realms of real life, trauma healing, whole foods, and the profound connection between mind, body, and soul. Hello, beautiful people.
Hello.
We are super excited today.
Yes.
I feel like I've said that every single time. I'm always excited.
Yeah, we are always excited. It's like a little bit of nerves, a lot of excitement.
Yeah, we're always like, what are we going to talk about? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, we're fine. But we really are fine.
Today we are fine.
Yeah, we are.
We should, we're thriving. We're doing excellent. Today for us is Friday. It's freaking cold outside where we're at in lovely Wisconsin.
Negative 15, my son informed me yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what?
We occasionally like to splurge on bubblers. And so I had a bubbler, like a whole case in my car, and Shade went to go take one out of our community fridge, and she was like, oh, it's frozen.
Yeah, it's like bubbling to the top. So.
Yeah. Like, did it taste like a slushie?
It does. It's really delicious. We might just start a new thing. Try it as a slushie.
Exactly. Well, like, what a happy accident. Yeah. Nature there are no accidents. Nature just gave us another trick to use.
I love it.
Yeah, same.
So we talked about last week some more mindful things with the holidays.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of pressure right now on everybody.
Oh yeah, because the holidays are literally a couple of weeks away. And we just got done with Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas.
Mm-hmm. So where's the break? And that's what I hope people can start to like take the breaks. Yeah, the kids might have off of school, you might have some days off. But then what are you filling that with? Are you filling it with something for yourself, or, oh, I got to go Christmas shopping. I got to clean my house for all the people to come to so then I can clean it while they're there and then I can clean it after they leave.
Oh my gosh, I know. And just for us to be like, I'm sorry about the mess.
Yeah. Why do we all say that?
It is a generation thing for sure. Because it's so crazy that you brought that up, because I was just talking to another client about this. So she had an abundance of anxiety this year about Thanksgiving because she was hosting it at her house.
Yes.
And previously it had always been her mom. So when we think about generationally speaking, her mother, so my client is in her mid 50s. So her mother was a stay-at-home mom, and her mother before that was a stay-at-home mom. So I think that the traditions of having this immaculate house, because you spend 24/7 in your house, and your primary job was to clean the house, take care of your children, take care of your largest child. To, cook dinner for your significant other and your children. Our entire existence was encompassed with being all that was a wife, all that was a mother. So, like, generationally speaking, the houses were amazing.
Yeah.
You didn't have to apologize for the mess. You dusted every day, and there weren't cobwebs.
Yeah.
The floor was so clean you could eat off of it. But we're in 2024 and we have to be mothers and wives and employees or business owners. We have to be the most amazing friend. We have to have the best body. We have to have all of the right answers all of the time. We have many roles.
So much pressure.
Like, just saying it out loud.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, let's take some deep breaths for a second. Like, holy bananas. But, like, do you see, like, as I'm talking, like, I could probably come up with 1,000 other roles that sometimes we're the coaches for the sports, we're the taxi cab drivers, we're the let's be the best home for all of the kids to come to our homes, and then we adopt other children, and really and truly we have to do all of the grocery shopping and finding time for that. Really, we could add on hundreds of titles. So I do think like that's why we say, "Oh my gosh, I'm
Like,
sorry
sorry
for the
for
mess,"
Yeah.
because really it is a mess in comparison.
To what it used to look like.
Right. What the standard
Standard,
was.
yes.
Yeah.
And when you say the apology, I'm sorry, a lot of, if anybody that knows me knows that I really try now not to say I'm sorry. And it's a very hard thing.
Mhm.
And you start to realize how much you say it. Right now, I just say, excuse me, because I haven't found something else to fit that.
Right.
But it's like, we apologize all the time.
Mhm.
And yes, apologies, like as I'm teaching my son, there's a right place and a right time for everything.
Absolutely.
Like, yes, there are apologies that need to be said or hope they're said. But just this, I'm sorry at everything it's unacceptable.
Well,
really.
it's an expectation that was put
yeah.
on us. Like we had to apologize for freaking everything.
Thank you.
Apologize for being too loud.
Yeah.
Apologize for not using our voice at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
Apologize for not cleaning our room or doing our chores or doing whatever the correct way. Because again, like our parents' generation was the generation of children who were to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
They required complete obedience.
Yes.
You couldn't question your parents.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell them how you felt. You couldn't do anything but obey.
Okay.
So they were constantly apologizing.
Mhm.
And then they made us say, well, when I was a kid, I couldn't do
Yes.
You better apologize.
Yes. Mhm.
I would prefer for anybody to only apologize to me when they truly believe that they want the forgiveness.
Yeah.
And it has to be like heartfelt. I don't want to hear I'm sorry just to placate me.
Yeah. Mhm.
Then if you're not, here's the other thing. If you're not truly sorry for whatever action, is it really our job to tell someone else how they should feel?
Right.
Like what line do we draw for that?
Mhm.
If I do something to hurt you, like if I say, Shade, she's wearing these
Oh
pants
my god!
today.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up
It's
for the
for
people
our-
that see. I do have pants on.
As you can tell. So let's say I say to you, Shade, I don't think that you should wear those pants anymore because you look naked. Now, now you
Right.
could be tremendously hurt by me saying that.
Right.
And you would maybe say, like, that really offended me, and I feel like you should apologize because that was really mean. Now, in my opinion, I wanted to do a sister a solid.
Yeah.
Like, girl, you're making like your name. I mean, I don't actually hate these pants.
Yeah.
I'm totally, but right, but like this is an
Yeah.
example, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna demand an apology for me. So I'm not only negating my feelings about how I was trying to help you, I have to like rewire my entire intention. My intention wasn't to hurt you.
Right.
So what do you say to somebody if you're truly not apologetic?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do we reframe that? Do you have an idea?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I'm like trying to think like how would I do that?
But just what you were saying just makes me think of, the reframing my mind and rewording things, because I do it with my son, because I don't like to say no all the time. We did this
Seriously.
exercise and it was really simple as to close your eyes and then I'm just going to repeat no, no, nope, no. And then take a breath, do the exercise again, but this time close your eyes. And then I would say, yes, yes, yes. And then ask you, how did you feel when I said no? And how do you feel when I was repeating yes? Well, you're going to feel so much better hearing that yes.
Right.
The no is just like such a fast shut down, and it just hits a different way. So I'm trying to, like, sometimes my son will like repeat it. And I'm like, just a moment. I need an extra second to refrain how I'm thinking and saying this, because I'm trying to break all my other habits of how I would say stuff.
Right.
Just like a quick, can I watch TV? No, instead of like quick like that. Thank you for asking, but right now we're going to be working on this. This evening we can watch a movie.
Right.
And
Right. And that's not a no.
Right. It's not a no,
Mhm.
it's not a maybe, or I'll think about it.
Right.
It's not a hard shutdown.
You're
Right.
providing him a logical reason why we can't watch TV
Yes.
at this moment. You're still respecting his desire to want to watch TV, but then you're setting a clear boundary for
Yes.
him so that he can learn from what that looks like.
And it doesn't have to be with kids, with
It can be
anything.
with
It just
anybody.
with anybody,
Mhm.
just kind of like you said. So going back to the pants, if you were gonna say like, I think you like those pants. I don't know if you're aware, or I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, it is a really hard
Yeah,
one.
it's
'Cause,
like you have to.
what a weird thing to think about is how we have asked people to apologize for things, even though their intentions were with peace and with love and with wanting to assist. It's almost like we're asking them to believe that the intention wasn't what it was. So I suppose, like, instead of saying I'm sorry, I could say something like, oh, Shade, I didn't realize that my words would affect you.
Yes.
And then, like, my intention wasn't to hurt you.
Mhm.
So then that way you know that my intention was honorable. I didn't intend to hurt you. I didn't realize that you really enjoyed those pants. Maybe next time, instead of me saying, hey girl, don't wear those pants, I could say, hey Shade, are you in a space where I could offer you some advice?
Yeah. I like
Because
that.
it would be taken
Yeah.
differently. What if you just had a terrible day because 5 other people told you that you looked naked with those
Yeah.
pants? And they didn't say it in a nice way. They were like, ew, Shade, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
So if you had that experience and then I came at you, even from a place of love,
You could take it.
your response is going to be, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're never. Yeah. Yeah. So I think one of the things, like even tying it back to like what you do with your kid, we're always so ready to fix something.
Yes.
We're always so ready to have our own opinions, our own thoughts. We live in our own existence, in our own reality, and we don't think about like the outside perspective. So, like, I always tell my kids, I'm going to look for 100 reasons to say yes before I ever say no. And that if I have to say no, that there is a super valid reason for the no.
Mhm.
So, like, and one of the things that I noticed, talking about like reframing your mindset and reframing things. So when I was young, my mother, and she listens to our podcast. So hi, mom. She would never give us a yes. It was always a whatever or maybe or I don't know or let's talk about this later or sure. Like it was never just a yes.
Yeah.
And that was because she was never given a yes as a child. So she was wholly unaware that her words had a different sort of effect on us, right? But one of the things that, like, myself and my siblings, we recognized what that did to us, like, emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, instead of hearing a yes, we felt more like burdens, which obviously wasn't her intention.
Right.
But so like now for my kiddos, I like am I try so hard to say yes. Cause like sometimes I'll be cooking and like my kid will be like, yeah, yeah, whatever, just have it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oops, wait.
Yeah.
Yes, you can have that. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yes.
Because I will catch myself just my automatic response being that because it's ingrained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
that's the thing. Yes, all these things are ingrained and it takes time.
Yeah.
And it's these little baby steps and being aware and just right there, just like being aware is like it's huge.
Yeah. And like I will apologize to my kids often when I do something that requires an apology because I also want them to understand that I'm not perfect.
Yes, I've just started to do that more too, and I can tell a difference.
Huge difference.
And same with my son. I don't ask him to say I'm sorry for a bunch of things either. Like I keep telling him there's a time and a place, and you should know if there's something that you need to apologize for.
Right, because like we teach kids at a very young age when they do something like hit.
Yeah.
What do you tell them to do?
They'll say sorry. I read in this book to Raising Lions. I would suggest
Yes.
anybody that has a small child. I almost finished it. If you know me, I also don't finish books yet. A goal I'm working on right
Okay.
now. But they said telling your child to go say you're sorry is like telling your dog to go like say they're sorry, because it means nothing.
Yeah,
It means
because
they
you're not
don't,
teaching them.
right, and they're not at that stage to understand. Yeah, and you're just not teaching.
Right. So like like something that I do is I say, your sister's crying right now and she's really hurt by what you said to her.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel?
Yes.
And then my other child will say, that makes me feel really bad. Okay. Were you intentionally trying to hurt your sister or was it an accident?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's say that she says, I intentionally did it. She was being rude, so I wanted to be rude back.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that make you feel better?
Yes.
And then, so
Or not, yes, it did. But
yeah,
yes.
but yeah, you understand where I'm coming from. So having the conversation and naturally having them come to their own conclusion.
Yeah.
And again, what if
just taking that time to ask?
Yeah.
That's what I noticed with Edric too. Yeah. How are you feeling? How are
Right.
they feeling?
Right.
What are your thoughts?
how can we come up with a different conclusion? How could we have done this differently?
Yeah.
And naturally, one of the things, and this all, so like today we kind of want to talk about trauma-informed practices. So this is all goes in with it. Kids, humans, adults, teenagers, nobody intentionally does something to be bad.
Right.
We as humans don't want to hurt people. We don't want to do bad things to people. We aren't by nature, in my opinion, this will be controversial, by nature, we're not evil beings.
Yeah.
Now, I know other religions will tell you otherwise, but if you think about the beauty in holding a brand new innocent baby, and you think about the beauty of every part of the human face, we stop being quote unquote good when something in life affects us.
Yes.
And we don't have the tools to teach us differently.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have this beautiful being and we cultivate an environment of love and healing, peace, and teaching them, when something happens where they accidentally make a quote unquote bad choice, they will have the tools to correct it.
Yes.
To want to heal, to want to love. And so I think like we forget that. We forget that we want our children to not be these obedient robots. We want them to question us.
Yes.
They don't want to be bad. Your child is not bad because they want to. They're human souls too. And when adults do that, I always ask that question.
Yes.
So like when I look at an adult who I perceive to be not the greatest adult, I will look at them and I will say, what version of them am I interacting with? Am I interacting with the 3-year-old self? Am I interacting with a 10-year-old? Am I interacting with that broken 7-year-old person who was crying and lonely and didn't have any protection or peace? When I look at people, I just view them in whatever hurts they may be experiencing if they're not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Like my perception of what a good person would be.
I'm starting to see that a lot more with I think that too, where the things from our past, mostly when we're children, if those things are not healed, I see it just the same way that you are, but I word it a little different. Right. Same concept. Yeah. It's like, okay, if this person is doing these things, what haven't they been able to heal?
Right.
I feel like I just kind of like realized this lately with everything in the media. You see, all these musicians, all the people in power. And I feel like if they didn't heal I feel like that's all of our negative traits, like you said,
Yeah.
and it makes so much sense. Any
Right.
negative trait, it's like seeping out. It's
Right.
our cry for help,
Right. Because
but
we
we
don't know
don't
what
know
to do.
how. Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know what to do. So it's like, just get it out of me. I'm just going
Right.
to do this. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't
or
know how to
do
handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what steps to take. And then you have the traditional, like, not saying none of these are unacceptable, like therapy, but it might just everybody's different. That
Right.
might not work for you. Talk therapy might not work for you.
So there are different modalities.
Modalities. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like this will be a good segue into leading into like what we want to give our listeners. So we
Yeah.
want to give you guys easy steps to do on a daily basis to lead a life that is more trauma informed.
Yes.
And not just for other people, but for yourself. So Shade, you said talk therapy
Yeah.
may not work for everybody, right? And I say that because it took a long time for talk therapy to be something that I could heal from, because I'd been silenced for so long. And there were so many people in my life who didn't believe me, that the moment that I said out loud my story to the therapist, even though the therapist responded in an appropriate manner, in my mind, I said, she doesn't believe me.
Yeah. Yes.
And
All
so
this
I triggered my own physical response to be like, she doesn't believe me. She's just saying what she thinks I want to hear. And this is worthless and useless. And it took different modalities of
Okay.
healing before I could finally say, here's my truth.
Yes.
Can you help walk me through how I should perceive this differently? So, what other modalities could our listeners use?
I really like sound bath meditation, and that's
Yeah.
what's really worked with my mother, and that's with singing bowls and other instruments, and you get to lay down, you're relaxed, you're nice and comfortable.
Mhm.
And our friend who's in the building, Leah, she has a great setup, and she'll play the singing bowls and triangle and other instruments. She is a musician, so she knows her different equipment. Is that what I was gonna say? Equipment, keyboard, guitar, things like that. And it's so relaxing. It just, you can feel the vibrations through you.
Yes.
And my mom had a great experience where she said it was like out of a movie, where this ball, she's like, I just spit up this negative ball.
Mhm.
And it was just great. And my mom has always been drawn to music.
Yeah.
Like she's always been concerts. We've done that a lot together. So, and it was weird, it didn't click to me before. We've tried some other things, and she's kind of like, nah, that wasn't my thing. And then we tried this sound bath meditation. She's like, this is my thing.
Absolutely.
So it's nice, to keep trying and keeping an open mind.
Mhm.
Like, her mind was pretty closed off a couple years ago, and now she's like, I'm so thankful that you're introducing me to these things,
Yeah.
because how would she have found it?
Right.
It's
She
She
probably
probably
wouldn't
wouldn't
have.
have. No.
Right. But like that's part of like generational healing.
Yeah.
Like look at all of these steps that you're taking to heal yourself. And by healing yourself, you're impacting the generation before you, the generation after you.
And she's slowly, and she says that too, like, my mindset is slowly starting to change. I
Right.
can see it, I can feel it, and it takes time.
It does. And sound healing, so all of these modalities that we're talking about, there is scientific basis and root for all of it. So we call it holistic healing because it's not Western medicine's answer, right? So Western medicine's answer to typically everything.
Not yet.
Right. We're going to change the world.
Yeah.
We are, for sure. But is a pill, right? Is the traditional sources, maybe you need to go into a mental health facility, maybe you need to blah, blah, blah. That's Western medicine's take. Anything that is outside of a pill, outside of a like Band-Aid fix, that's holistic healing. It doesn't mean that it's all woo-woo. It doesn't mean that like we're just throwing, baloney at a wall and hoping that it sticks, right?
Yeah.
Like, so sound healing uses like energy waves and vibrational frequencies. This is all stuff. Don't take our word for it. Look it up yourself.
Mhm.
But even like esteemed institutions like the John Hopkins Institute, they cite
Yes.
how beneficial sound therapy and healing is for cancer patients, for people in a coma. Like there have been so many studies where there have been people who have been completely comatose, who wake up and they remember hearing the music.
Yes.
So sound healing truly does something.
I think we don't see it. Your mainstream media, you don't see it there.
Right. And it's not talked about enough because, and again, this is for like our American listeners, right? Because there are going to be people who listen internationally.
Yes.
This has been their practice for centuries.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, those darn Americans. They'll get it eventually. But saying that, like America, historically speaking, is a very baby country in comparison to these civilizations that have existed for century upon century.
Yeah, they've got their fire. You've got you're out there, you go out, you get your food, then you come back and everybody's celebrating and you're out together. You're in your community. You're playing the music. You're celebrating the food.
And music has always been a staple. And we just think of it as, oh, we like it because it makes us feel good. Okay, but why does it make us feel good? There's a scientific basis to why it makes us feel good, right?
We are energy.
Yeah, everything is energy.
And we need that flowing through us. I think that's what a lot of us, we need to feel it flow through us again.
Yeah, in some sort of
need to feel our body and know what it's like. And I see that with a lot of people. I'm like, how are they not hurt? But I think you turn off your brain and we don't pay attention to ourselves anymore.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the connection between the mind, body, and soul is so severed in 2024, like unbelievably severed. Like having to teach yourself, like us as holistic healing coaches, we have to teach people how to reconnect to their body. So it's hard because it's just been generations of trauma telling us that we don't know to trust our intuition. We've been institutionalized.
And it is mind-blowing when you have something like with your intuition and then you start to because lately things have been happening with me like that. Like I went thrifting the other day and I walked by the bookshelf and all of a sudden I just was turned and grabbed this book. Why? It was a gold book on the shelf and I send it to my friend and she's like, that's such a good book. And I open it and had astrology stuff. And I'm like, weird. I wasn't even going to look there, just trusted my intuition. And this is a book that I'm supposed to be reading right now.
Right. That you needed in that moment. Yeah. And how many times, if we were to look at the world that way, or even just reframe our thought, which is another really great tool to use for trauma informed daily practices, reframing what happens to you. I know we've said it before, but if you're 5 minutes late to something, there is a reason why you were 5 minutes late to it. Now, barring the fact that you just simply don't get up for your alarm every day, or you didn't go to bed in time and you slept through 5 alarms, but if you did everything right and you're still 5 minutes late, that 5 minutes saved your life. I don't care who you are, or it saved someone else's life. Or, the trickle effect, that butterfly effect that we used to talk about way back when. Do you remember when everybody was
all about the
oh my gosh.
Who else has it on VHS? Because I do.
What about that movie in forever?
Neither have I. We gotta watch it.
Oh, we're totally watching it.
Movie night.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he was so cute. Ashton Kutcher.
Yes,
he was. She was so cute. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that was like a big thing though,
Yes.
but like really and truly, what you do today can affect
Yes.
so many different people's lives. So just being like mindful, reframing your thought process about that, giving yourself grace and compassion
Grace, yes.
and kindness, and not just to yourself, but to like other people too. Like it's also human nature to react negatively when
Mhm.
somebody is putting negativity on you.
Yes.
But like to say, when I take a deep
Yeah.
breath, like clear off their energy.
Energy.
Yeah. And just say, like look at them and be like, why are they responding?
Yes.
Right. And is it beneficial for you to respond in the same manner? No. Set your boundaries. Be intentional about when you're going to allow someone to dictate how you react.
That's what me and my mom are dealing with. And it's
Mhm.
nice. I can use her as an example. She'll say something and I react negatively
Mhm.
right away. But I feel like when she said it to me, her tone had it. So then I'm quick and I like in my mind, I'm over it. But
Right.
my body still remembers
Mhm.
that I was in a lot of unsafe situations as a child.
Right. And that is something like, so another modality
Okay.
that Shade is going to get into is breath work.
Yes.
So some of that breath work is super powerful because it allows you to tap into your ability to heal yourself. And just simply having somebody to facilitate that journey for you is so important. And what's more important about someone facilitating your journey is that you want to make sure that it's someone who's educated on what breath work is, the trauma that can come up during a session, leading someone gently into their breathwork session so that they can feel safe enough to heal. Like you want to make sure that you have someone who intricately understands, right? But like being anybody can do breath work to them for themselves. Like you can
Yes.
put yourself in a state where you do it, but having a facilitator guide you reminds you that you're in the present moment.
Yes.
You're here now. Like I'll tell people like use my voice to anchor you. Remember that you're in a safe healing space because things are going to come up, and what happens during breath work is that your body will give you the ability to release the trauma. And that's where having more than one healing modality is so beneficial, is because we can talk, we can forgive, we can do all of those things, but your body remembers.
Yes.
Right? So ensuring that you figure out a way for your physical body to be able to release that. And sometimes what happens is we have these weird trauma triggers and we don't understand why. Like there is absolutely no reason I should have this trigger right now. Well, then it's not your trauma that you're holding on to. It's your great 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 grandmother's trauma that you're holding on to that has been passed down generation to generation to generation. So let's get it out of your body. I always tell my
I think
clients
that's a hard one for people.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you first say it, you're like, okay. But then when you can experience it, if you keep that open mind, and another one, a doctor, he was helping and he had people on a cleaner diet, and they were having chicken and their vegetables and everything's going good, but every day around the same time they were sad.
Mhm.
And the chicken that they were consuming was from a big facility and slaughtered, and just they weren't living a good lifestyle. So you could like feel that. So then when I heard more about the generational trauma, it's like, okay, then you can kind of connect, you form your own opinions with
Your
the
own
different
conclusions.
own conclusions with all this information. It's like, okay, it makes sense. But it's hard to not make sense of these things when nobody would talk about this.
Right.
You would, if somebody said this to you when we were in school, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
no.
Well, I wish that school would have taught something like this. Well, and here again, here's another thing. When we talk about trauma being passed down generationally, again, for those of you who need like scientific proof, evidence, things to research, look into epigenetics.
Oh, yes.
Epigenetics is the
Yes.
reason our bodies respond to triggers,
Yes.
and we have absolutely no idea. There have been psychiatrists, psychologists who have intricately studied the connection between the DNA and the genetic makeup of us and what happens. We now understand and recognize that pre-birth trauma, so trauma in the womb
Mm-hmm.
from the mother having an abundance of stress or trauma herself, and what that does to the development of the baby, the development of the way that the baby's brain is made up. I mean, truly, every intricate part of us and our physical makeup.
And it makes sense. Like,
that makes sense.
and my boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever you want to call him, we're not married. We've been together for 10 years, so I like to like say it, like all these funny things, like my baby daddy.
There was this TikToker who says, "This is my future ex-husband."
Yeah.
I wish I
Yeah.
could to say, oh crap, what is his name? I totally want to give him credit. He's I think he's freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think about his name, but there's a TikToker out there who like refers to his current husband as his future ex-husband.
Well,
freaking kills me.
We also go by I tell him to go call me his old bag because I'm younger than him. And I don't know, I just find it's just our
It's
funny
cute.
thing. Yeah, it's our
Oh,
cute
yeah.
thing. He was the one that was like, you can't be stressed when I was pregnant. Like he
Yeah.
had the realization of that I couldn't be stressed.
Yeah.
He spoiled the crap out of me.
Aw.
You know, like he was rubbing my feet, he cooked dinner, like I was not stressed at all during my pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I had a easy delivery. Like
Mhm.
my birth, everything was so smooth. There
Yeah.
was like no complications, easy. Like our son, like everything was
Your son was nice and healthy.
yeah, nice and healthy. We didn't have any complications. And I had a friend who was pregnant. We were about 6 months difference. And she had a lot of stress in her life.
Yeah.
A lot. And her son does struggle with a lot of like ear infections and other things. And she consumed a lot of caffeine. And you can just see you can see what the lifestyle choices
Mhm.
and the stress and the
Mhm.
things of our environment really make up.
Like played.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my two children that I biologically had, my son, he was that poor child. I think I'll be forever apologizing to him. Because I was a really silly 19-year-old girl. I got into a relationship that I shouldn't have gotten into. I, did all of the wrong things, blah, blah, blah. You know how the story goes. It's like half of freaking our generation, I feel like. But I had him, and every component of my life was stressful. I wasn't eating well. We had financial stress. I was unhealthy to begin with. I wasn't healed to begin with.
Yeah.
I was with someone who was not a supportive partner. We went through insurmountable amount of stress. And then I had tons of physical complications with my own body that trickled into his. I was on heavy, heavy medication while I was pregnant. There were so many bad things about my pregnancy. And he came out and was not thriving. He had such a hard life as a baby. And then as he continued to grow, he has like significant ADHD. He has like a very quick to anger response. There are things that he is because of what happened before he was even out of the womb, what happened after, all of the trauma that he had to endure through me being divorced and being a single mom and not making good choices as a parent. And then fast forward 5 years later, I have Anastasia. I am at that time, a fairly healthy-ish person in comparison to where I was when I was 19. I had a partner who was also a night and day difference. He is for sure 100% like the person that I was meant to be with, full soulmate. I didn't have to work. I was a stay-at-home mom. I got to just exist and enjoy every facet of my pregnancy.
Yeah.
My pregnancy, in theory, was significantly better than what it was with my son. And my daughter is like the most chill, like easygoing, super sweet, doesn't
Yeah.
have ADHD, doesn't have some of these other like triggers. So like they both came from me, but like you can see the vast difference in both of the way that their natural demeanor is
Mhm.
because of, you know, how everything happened. And gosh, if I were universe, this is not me accepting it, knock on wood, whatever I gotta do. If I were to have another baby right now, that baby would be like an incredible little being.
Yeah.
So healthy, so well rounded, literally would be the best thing ever. I know this because I have all of the tools. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I'm the most healed version I've ever been. My family is whole and well. I still have that beautiful significant other to enjoy my pregnancy with, all of those things. My body was just not made for pregnancy, and we're not going there. We're not going there. No, I don't want it. I don't accept that.
No.
Please no.
Yeah. She can. So.
Yeah, you can have that baby.
I know. I was told my body was made for pregnancy.
Yeah.
When I had Edric, what is it? The colostrum. When I was feeling like multiple. Like,
No.
yeah. And they're like, oh, you were made to have babies. I was like, oh, okay.
That's really great.
I like one right now.
Yeah.
I think it's harder for me. I'm an only child and an only grandchild. So I'm totally like,
You're fine.
yeah, I'm fine. I'm used to, I love giving all my attention to one person because, you know, the dads need it too.
I know. I know.
They're
just like our biggest.
Yeah, they're the biggest child. You're so right.
Totally
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Some other things, some self-care routines. I think this is like a really big one that we need to do that a lot of us don't. And we don't even know where to start. Like I didn't, after I had Edric, I didn't know where to start. Luckily, my mom and I would go for a walk. And that was after dinner, we'd go for a walk. I didn't know then, but that was our self-care routine.
Absolutely.
And it was good. Then I kind of got into fitness, and now that's a big part. But I also there's still more to it. Yeah. You need like a day of just unwinding, just things that bring you joy, that can help you unwind and not be thinking of, oh, I have this, and this to do.
And it needs to really be like a daily practice.
Yeah.
There are things that you should make that are habit forming that that you should always do. Like in the morning, if the morning time is your thing,
yes,
do 5 or 10 minutes of meditating or intentional breathing, journaling, whatever is going to fill your cup. Right? Like those are the things that are self-care. Self-care looks vastly different for every single person, but it's things that they're non-negotiable, you guys.
Yeah. Yes.
Self-care, I always say, is truly not selfish, because when you do something for yourself, you're able to give that back tenfold. You will have the light, the positivity, the ability to. So there are very certain things that should be your non-negotiables. You should always do whatever it is that fills your cup on a daily basis, so that you're not in a fight, flight, freeze response all of the time. Then you're in like a, hey, this has come up. I already did my self-care things.
Yeah.
I can handle this with grace, intentionality, and to keep going. So really delving into what your self-care routine looks like is super important. And other things like getting a massage. That's self-care. Not only, and that taps into emotional, physical, spiritual. You also have the ability to release trauma in a physical manner with the right massage therapist. Yeah. Because there are times where you will just let it all go and you have no idea.
Yeah. And I got a massage last week, I think it was. And she's like, wow, like you're really tight. And I'm like, oh, I am?
Yeah.
Oh, you're holding it all in your upper body. Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
then the wheels start to go, oh, that makes sense. Okay, I do feel it. Oh, now I made it a point that I'm getting one this week. I'm not going to wait a month now and let it build up like that. And when you were saying like your morning routines, like, yeah, it can be 5-10 minutes. It doesn't have to be. I know
Substantial.
everybody's number one thing that everybody always says, I don't have time.
You do.
You do.
Promise.
Everybody has the time because the things that we're filling our time up with, there's something that can go to the back burner.
Right. But that's
There's
irrelevant.
definitely, yeah, that's not,
You're wasting your time.
Yeah. and I don't want you to say, oh, making my bed. Okay. It does feel nice, but that's also, if it's do something for you.
Right.
I like, within breathing, meditation, I struggle with, and that's okay. But I do just closing my eyes and taking some breaths, and that's a meditation for me.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
meditation also looks differently
For
for every single
everybody, yeah.
person. And meditation can be in the form of praying. It can be in the form of, like I literally just said this to my clients yesterday because we were talking about decluttering your mind,
Ooh,
body,
yeah.
and soul. And so that's what we did. We did this whole journaling exercise that was really awesome. Really good. But like you're driving, and if while you're driving you need to like get into the right headspace, that's still meditating. You
Mhm.
can be, focused on driving, but also be focused internally on what you need to do. And for me, it's playing my favorite song and
yelling
it out.
I know. Yeah. And the driving is good with getting in that flow state.
Yeah.
When you're saying like for me driving, when you're driving and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I don't remember like going. That's because you're in your flow state.
Yeah.
I used to think like, oh, does this only happen to me? No, it's a common thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're in a flow state, and that's a good time to do some meditate. Still be paying attention to where you're driving, please. Yeah. My other flow state is the shower.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always when the ideas, everything's pops up, and I have my mantras in the shower, so I'm always doing those out loud. And that's another thing that I do for myself is I get up before everybody. I shower with the lights off in the morning and just have that peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That is really amazing. I feel like this is probably should be like a 2-part episode because I feel like we can
because we only looked at 2 of our points and just kind of rambled
and
on.
just kept going. But I think there was a lot of good that came out of it. I think we definitely should make this a part 2.
Yes.
And we are super appreciative of you guys listening. Thank
you so much. I love hearing people like, oh, I listened, it's great. And I'm like, thank you. I'm working on my negative self-talk because I'm like, oh, okay. Then I'm gonna start to like think like, what do I need to do? Tell me all the things. Tell me
every single thing that we didn't do right.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, they gave me a compliment. And it was accept it. Yeah. So if you give me a compliment, I accept it, and I tend to just walk away. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm like, I gotta
work on that.
Yeah, I gotta work on it. I'm like, oh, thanks.
I'm so awkward. I don't know what to say right now.
Yeah,
or like having to give a compliment back to someone. Oh, I am really bad about that. It's so disingenuous.
Okay. See, I think it's when somebody gives me one, to give it back is hard. I like to compliment people just randomly.
Yep.
But mine are usually like, oh, I like your shoes, which I usually do, or their bracelet or their tattoo or their hair, something that I can see. And I'm always shocked, like checkout people, they're always like,
no, thank you.
Yeah, like nobody has talked. Are you guys not talking to them?
Talk to them, please.
Please
talk to everybody.
Talk to everybody because
he deserves it.
They do. And like seeing the light shine in some of the people just by saying just a few things, like they're there working all day, and then just a little gesture can go such a long way.
Yeah, acknowledging that every soul in this world has a purpose, and that we genuinely appreciate every single human being in the present moment. You are here for a reason, and I don't think that a lot of us like get to hear that often.
No.
So you guys are worthy.
You
You're
are.
enough. You're beautiful.
We love you all.
We love you. Have an amazing day.
Thank you for holding space with us. This marks the end of another enchanting journey on the Wellness Witches Whimsy podcast. We hope today's episode has sprinkled a little magic on your day and empowered you with the insights to elevate your wellness journey, mind, body, and soul.
Remember, the path to well-being is both an ancient art and science, a blend of ancient wisdom and modern knowledge. So keep your wands ready and your potions brewing until we meet again. May your days be filled with health, happiness, and a touch of whimsy until our paths cross again in the realm of wellness and wonder.
Please note that the content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Always seek the advice of your physician with any changes you want to implement. The views expressed by the hosts and their guests are their own and should not be considered replacement medical advice.